All for sports. Well, the Giants won today, and it doesn't feel good at all because only the Giants can make it not feel good, right? Because of the season we've had. But we're here to talk about the ramifications with this win, this meaningless win. And it is a meaningless win, and it probably is going to send ripple effects throughout the organization of what change could have been and what might be. It's still possibilities. We'll get to the whole Tank Commander stuff with the number one pick in a moment. But let's talk about the game. Let's talk about this game. In this game, the Giants won today. They beat the Colts 45-33. Yes, you read that right, folks. 45 points from the New York Football Giants. They scored 45 points. 7 of them came from a kickoff return for a touchdown to open the second half. But just a crazy, crazy game from the Giant offense that made you scratch your head. It made you scratch your head and say one thing. Actually, it made you say two things. Number one, where was all this the first 16 weeks of the year? Where was it? Where was all of this? That's one thing you said. And then the second thing you said, quite frankly, was why now? Why now? Why now does this Giant offense want to just say, you know what? We're going to be the best unit on the field. We're going to be the best unit on the field for both teams today. And I got to say, this is also on the Indianapolis Colts defense, who basically just pulled a no-show today. Let's be honest. They pulled a no-show today. Okay? Now, I'm not going to take too much credit away from the Giant playmakers who came to play today, but at the end of the day, the Colt defense just with a straight no-show job today. I mean, it looked like they didn't even get off the bus in the first half. I mean, the missed tackles after missed tackles, absolutely no pass rush whatsoever all game on Drew Lock. I mean, it was crazy. It was just crazy. An absolute no-show from the Colt defense. And the Giant offense, perfect storm. They had their best game. Their playmakers had their best game. And it all resulted in 45 points. And, the Giants, they played hard today, and they played like they wanted something to prove, man. They wanted to prove and avoid dubious distinction of being the first team to be 0-9 home, and they avoided today with a win today. Of course, it's like, why now? But it is what it is. Let's go to the chat real quick. It's Danny R's checking in. Danny R, what's goody, bro? He said, what's good, bro? I think we still be in good shape to get our quarterback despite the unnecessary win, LOL. Well, I mean, it looks like it's going to take, the thing about it is, this is one of the reasons why I didn't get too crazy on the whole Tank Commander squad for the past few weeks, even though I knew the season was lost 2 months ago. Because the Giants are notorious for winning meaningless games when no one gives two shits about it, okay? It's just who they are, right? I mean, let's be honest. This is what the Giants do, man. They win meaningless games when they don't need them, and they don't win the games when they do need them. When you're invested and you want to win and you're trying to become something, then they don't want to show up. Then they don't play well. But when no one's watching or anyone cares, they perfect the art of meaningless wins. And you know what? Hey, I was never surprised that this happened. I really wasn't. I had a bad feeling about it anyway for weeks. They weren't gonna just end the season without a win, even though everything was aligned for them. Everything was aligned for them to get the number one overall pick if they would have lost their last two games. But in typical Giant fashion, they don't do it. You know what I'm saying? They just don't. They just don't. And to your answer, Danny R, despite the unnecessary win, they could be in good shape. Well, the ramifications of this, let's just get it out the way now. The fallout for the first overall slot pick slot now. They're either going to finish the week 17 with the third overall pick or the fourth overall pick, depending on the results of the Browns and the Dolphins game today. So let's just say the Dolphins win the game, right? They win the game. They beat the Browns. The Giants will be fourth. The Browns are a team that could be looking for a quarterback. Maybe they won't. They just restructured their deal with Deshaun Watson. Who knows what's going to happen there? Tennessee is ahead of them. We know they're going quarterback. The Giants now, if things hold serve next week, are going to have to now be in a situation where they're going to have to trade up now to get the quarterback they want. And that was what this whole thing was. You know, you would say, hey, better off if you just have at it. You finish with a top 2 pick, you get the quarterback you desire, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Now, the Giants are going to probably have to trade up now to ensure that they get the quarterback they want. And in my opinion now, the way I feel, because of the way John Mara does things, the way how we've heard rumblings for months and months, he doesn't want to make changes. He doesn't want to make changes. And then you started hearing little tea leaves here and there, little hints being sent from the Mara camp, which we're not fooled by. We know these stories that's been coming out. It's come from his camp saying, hey, if we do make a change, we're not going to blow it up. We're just going to get rid of the coach because we just have to keep Joe Schoen, even though he's the architect of this garbage. So now they get a meaningless win and they avoid 0-9 at home. And now here comes you can guarantee it. First thing Tuesday, you're going to start hearing how, oh, well, you know what? John Mara's leaning towards just keeping continuity. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. They're staying, folks. They are staying. They're not leaving. They're not breaking this up. And I said it from the jump. I said this is a package deal to me. I had no interest in keeping Shane and letting go of Dable or vice versa. Either you blow it up, which I think they should, or you just keep them and let them find their quarterback if they finish with the number 1 overall or number 2 overall pick. Now they might not even get the number 1 or number 2 overall pick. So you know what's going to happen. They're keeping them. Mark it down. They are going to keep this regime. And that's what I say. This is a meaningless loss with a lot of ramifications that's going to hit this organization. And Giants Nation is not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy, man. Danny also says, I say this, is if we are not in position to grab Sanders or Ward in the upcoming draft, I say the Giants immediately have to trade for Justin Fields. They wouldn't even have to trade for Fields because he's a free agent, so they can just go out and sign him. But honestly, is that really what's the answer to this problem with this organization and this team? They're going to be bad next year again if they go with Justin Fields. Let's be honest. You want to find your franchise quarterback. And based on everything that happened this season, with how bad everything went, the regression of players, Daniel Jones not being the answer and then releasing him mid-season, everything was set up and they have telegraphed what they're going to do after the season. They want to draft a quarterback, and by hook or by crook. And listen, they're going to trade up. They're going to give up the assets needed, and that's what's going to be the problem. Now you're going to see the Giants give up future assets that could cripple the freaking organization if they don't get quarterback right. Now they have all the pressure to get the quarterback situation definitely fixed, and the answer, they can't miss on this quarterback when they draft him. They can't. And in my opinion, it's got to be Shedeur or Cam Ward. I'm not interested in making Jalen Monroe or what's his name? The Ole Miss quarterback as my first round pick. Those to me are guys you get in the later rounds. And is that really what you want to do? No, you want to get your franchise quarterback. You can't. This regime and this team cannot afford to take a risk on a project to save the franchise. They just can't. And This is what's going to happen, man. I guarantee they're going to be trading up. And whether it be to the top spot, which is probably where they're going to have to go to ensure they get who they want, forget about it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it because Tennessee, is looking for a quarterback. Unless Shador hits him with one of those, I'm not playing for you. Hey, it's not happening. It's not happening. The Giants are going to have to trade up to get their guy now with this loss. If this holds serve after next week, if for some miracle, they lose against the backups and third stringers against the Eagles, because I don't know if they're going to have anything to play for now unless Detroit loses today or tomorrow night. Hey, they might win that game. They might. Who knows? And even if they lose that game, man, they're going to have to assure they get their guy, and they're going to have to trade up and give up assets. This is a tough loss. And again, to me, the biggest issue is now this is going to keep the regime right where they are. This ensures it. This ensures it, man. You know where this is going from John Mara. You're going to hear all the articles the next few days and the rest of the week. By Black Monday, they're going to be keeping him. You know it. Because he don't see what we see. He don't. Big task at hand, checks in. Happy Sunday. Hope all is well. This win will cement the Giants to the dark ages. I can't argue it. This is gonna be tough, man. They are gonna be in a situation where the only thing this regime is gonna have left to do is find a franchise quarterback, because that's all that's gonna save them after this year. That's all that's gonna save them. So by hook or by crook, they're gonna be ready to trade up. And hey, you better hope Shane's relationships around the league isn't too crazy that teams don't try to rape him. Because now it's out of first round picks, because it's going to cost us at least a future first. You know that. And who else knows from there as well? It's a tough scene, man. It is a tough scene. Dizzy, Ron Diggs checks in. Trade up for any of these quarterbacks is incompetence. A good GM will stick and pick or trade down, get a day 2 quarterback. Diz, I'm sorry, you're out of your mind. I like you, my guy, and all that, but this thing about we should just wait for Arch. I'm not on that. I'm not on that, bro. We need to find our franchise quarterback, okay? And I'm telling you right now, the only way that this regime is, I know you don't like these quarterbacks. You made it very clear, and that's your opinion. Hey, I ain't mad at you. There's going to be people that don't like the quarterbacks. There's going to be people that do. For one hand, I think there's 2 quarterbacks in this draft that I would take, and it's Shador or Cam. That is it. I'm not taking anybody else in the first round. So it is what it is. And as your comment says right here, and what I've been saying, the trade up will cause Shane is desperate, and it's going to set us back, unfortunately. Yeah, it is, because it's going to cost us future assets. It just is what it is. That's why this loss is so stupid and meaningless for the Giants to do. But this is what they do. They win meaningless games. They have perfected this. But, I just look at it like this. I have to get a quarterback. I cannot go through a season like this and not come away with a quarterback, because, man, you are playing with fire. If you think, how do we even know there's going to be good quarterbacks this year? And for the people that have been talking, that I see daily online and for so forth, let's wait for Archie. You ready to wait till 2027? Because they already said that he's not coming out to the 2027 draft. The Giants are not going to be without a quarterback for 2 years, guys. It's not going to happen. It's not. Get that out of your mind. You're going to have to get one either this year or next year, and it's going to be this year, because this regime is going to want to save their bacon. How are they going to justify going into next year with Drew Lock, DeVito, and a bridge quarterback, and then go 2 and whatever again, 3 and whatever again? So the only way they get to save their jobs and extend it and see this through is to get their guy. They think about it. They telegraphed what they were thinking on Hard Knocks. They telegraphed it. They said it. We were looking at the draft. They wanted Jaden Daniels. They were interested in Drake May, and they couldn't get the quarterback they wanted, so they didn't take him. They took Neighbors. which in my opinion was the right pick. We'll see if, Bo Nix and Michael Penix and those guys and J.J. McCarthy will become franchise quarterbacks down the road. We'll see. There's a lot out there. Now everybody wants to have amnesia and say, oh, you should have took Bo Nix. This is incompetence, blah, blah. But nobody else in the world was saying the Giants should have drafted Bo Nix that high. And there was very rare people that said they should have drafted Michael Penix that high. There were a couple, but not a lot. The consensus was when Atlanta made the pick that they were stupid for drafting him that high at 8. So whatever. However, this regime has telegraphed it already that they are looking for quarterback, and based on how they kicked Daniel Jones out the door midseason, hey, they're going to get somebody. They're going to do it. They're not going to just sit back and hope. They're not going to just say, hey, let's go with a bridge. It's not happening. They'll get a bridge, but it'll be for the rookie quarterback next year until he's ready to play. It's happening. Now we are in the situation of if this holds serve next week, we need a lot to happen next week to get to that top 2 range. Okay, we're gonna need a couple of teams to win some games that might not be even wanting to win. So let's just go off the assumption that does not happen, and we're picking 3rd or 4th. They're trading up, folks. They're trading up. They're gonna give up future picks. All of that. It's gonna happen, and I'm telling y'all right now, this regime is going nowhere. You know it, and I know it. It's not happening. John Mara has sent his little henchmen in the media to let everyone know what he was thinking for the longest. Now that they got this win, he's not doing it. He's not. Corey checking in. What's up, bro? Checking in. Giants finally got a win at home and mean it's a game which cost us the number 1 pick. And our guy Jalen Brunson scored 55 last night. Shout out to Jalen Brunson, El Capitan, New York Knicks, man. I'm so happy about the New York Knicks. They are saving my sanity from these New York Giants. But yeah, bro, Jalen Brunson with that double nickel last night, on a back-to-back where the team just was flat, and they found a way to win. And hey, that's why he's who he is. That's why he's who he is, and we're happy and lucky as Knicks fans and New York fans in general to have that kind of an athlete playing in this city. Shout out to Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks, man. Corey also says, Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year to you, too. I'm in that festive spirit myself, but these Giants, I tell you, these Giants, man. Joshua KR checking in. I don't know why Shane is meeting with Sanders. You know why he's meeting with Sanders, man. I keep telling y'all, man. Y'all, we needed this team to lose out to have any sniff of a chance to get changed with this regime. And now that they got to win, I'm just saying, maybe it's that pessimism in me about how John Mara does things. Me being a Giant fan for so many years, just knowing how laid back and conservative this organization is with their GMs. He's not going nowhere, man. He's not. And the fact that they had him traveling and meeting with these guys, seeing these guys at the games, it was business as usual. They've been operating like business as usual. Listen, John Mara is not getting rid of these guys. And unless it was going to be a disaster of a season, which it is, but however, in the sense of losing every game the rest of the way, a 2-15 season would have did it. I'm being real. I don't see it. I don't think he's going to do it. I want them to do it. I hope they do it, but I know they won't. It's not happening. Shane is not all right. Listen, we'll see. We'll see, Josh. I hope you're right, man. Let's see. But I've seen this movie before, man. All you got to do is just pay attention to what is coming out from the media, from the certain media pundits that F with the Giants all the time, and the certain media pundits that go out of their way to have mercy and excuses for the Giants all the time. Those are the guys that Mara F's with, and the organization with Pat Hanlon and all those guys. That is who they deal with. And all you got to do is just listen to those guys. Everyone can have an opinion in the media and go for clicks, but me being a Giant fan, I just know where it's trending, and you can see it. He don't want to do the firing. He was going to give us a pound of flesh by having Dable be the fall guy if we would have lost out. That was going to be John Mara's thinking was, I'll give them their pound of flesh and just give them that. But I want to keep my GM because I'm so comfortable with him, even though he hasn't done a good job. That's it. And that's why you see him everywhere, because they have made their decision. They're just letting everyone string along and think whatever they think. But this regime is coming back. Mark my words, bro. Mark my words. And honestly, if there is a move, it's going to be Dable the fall guy, which is ridiculous to me. And it's absolutely insane that they would just keep Shane and get rid of Dable. But I don't think either's legal. Read the tea leaves, folks. It's there. Just got to look at it. Diz checks in and says they have to keep both now. Shador or Canwell better get us at least 7 wins next year, or it's going to be ugly. AFC West, NFC North year is absolutely brutal. Yeah. I mean, bro, it's happening. Ron, it's happening, bro. It's happening, man. This regime, the only way they can save their ass after this season is getting a quarterback to give them more time. Think about it. They telegraphed what they were going to do. They telegraphed it since Hard Knocks. And then when Daniel Jones got shown the door mid-season, you knew that was what they was thinking, bro. This is what they were going to do, man. This is what they're going to do. And this is why I'm saying they should just clean house, get rid of the regime, let them start fresh and let the next regime get their quarterback, because now it's going to be clumsy, because now you got no choice but to keep them at least 2 years if you keep this regime and let them take their quarterback, because it's like next year you're going to put a new regime with a quarterback they didn't even draft. It's the same thing. It's like it's the same thing all over again when Shane and Dable got here. They inherited a quarterback they didn't draft, and they were prepared to move on after that first year, but they outkicked the coverage, had a great out of nowhere season, which we all at the time loved, okay, and got to the playoffs and won a playoff game. So what did they do? They fell and took the bait, and they re-signed Daniel Jones, and look where we are now. It's happening, fella. It's happening. So this is why I say they should just clean house now, but they won't do it because John Mara he doesn't like change. He's so out of touch with reality of today's NFL. It's mind-boggling, bro. It's mind-boggling. Big Taz in hand says, with this win, the Giants should fire Dable and Joe Shane. Yeah, but too bad. Too bad that the owner's probably going to have a party night. Now he's probably going to have a nice holiday party with the new, knowing how he is. He's going to have a nice holiday party with the say, hey, we won a game and avoided 0-9 and all. Meaningless wins, folks. Hey, that's Mr. John Mara for you. And I'm not saying he's happy. Now, I'm going to be fair. I'm not saying he's happy that we're a shitty season, 3-win season team. He's not happy about that. He isn't. He does want to win. He just is so inept and out of touch with reality of how to win now. That's all. He's still stuck in his old school ways. That's his problem. And we'll never go nowhere until he gets it, or until he hires the right GM coach combination to get us out of this and get our franchise quarterback. And it looks like we're going to have a tougher time now to do it if this holds serve one more week. Because honestly, I don't think we're going to get the number 1 pick. I think we blew it. We're probably not going to be a top 2 pick either. You know, it's going to take a miracle, man. It's going to take a miracle. So get ready to hear all offseason about how the Giants are going to trade up. Now, I know one thing. Last year in Hard Knocks, we saw that Joe Shane was very interested in trading with the Patriots and Elliott Wolf over there. So right now, the Patriots have the number 1 overall pick, and if it holds serve next week, maybe he could work something out with him this time. Who knows? But it's going to cost, and that's the problem. Patriots go take last year's offer for Drake May. Oh, I didn't even read it. I was just talking about that. Drake made a move down 2 spots, future first and more. Yeah, it's going to happen. I was just saying that. And funny is, I was saying that, Ron, to a couple of my guys at my job. They're Patriot fans where I live at. So basically they were saying like, hey, if we get the number 1 overall pick, let's take Travis Hunter or all that. I was like, if you get the number over a pick and the Giants inexplicably win a meaningless game, which they're known to do, which probably is going to happen, the Giants will be calling you, and you'll be getting a shitload of picks from somebody. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised. It was already a thing where they show he was talking with Elliott Wolf in the draft process at the combine and this, that, and the third. Oh, don't forget me if you ever think about trading out. Oh, don't forget me. Well, you better get on the phone with him now. You better get on the phone with him now. Corey checks in. It's crazy how this football team has started 4 different quarterbacks and yet still put themselves in bad situations to where we as a fan base are just done with this organization, man. And that's on Joe Schoen. That's on Joe Schoen. He brought in Drew Lock as the backup. He's horrible. But of course, typical Giant fashion today, Drew Lock with the game of his life. Game of his life. 17 of 23, 309 yards and 4 touchdowns, of course. Just an absolute no-show from that Indianapolis Colts defense. Boy, did they even want to make the playoffs? I'm just wondering if they really wanted to make the playoffs. It's a question. It's just a question. And let's also talk about how bad is that Colts coach, man. Shosteichen, he is horrible, bro. He is horrible. There was a play in this game where it was 3rd and 8 at about the 45-yard line, I believe. And instead of him passing the ball, he runs a draw. He runs a draw play to Jonathan Taylor just to kick a 55-yard field goal. And, of course, they missed in the elements in MetLife. That coach is horrible, man. He's horrible. He's horrible. If there's any Colts fans out there, I wouldn't be too happy right now. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't, man. Also, I want to talk about real quick. Let me just get this out way. The only positives about today's game, okay? Malik Nabers, great game today. 7 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. And also, Nabers now with over 100 catches and over 1,000 yards on the season as a rookie, all records. And Tyrone Tracy also eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark as a rookie. So nice to see these kids, keep playing and showing some leadership out there in a terrible season. Listen, players are not going to tank, man. It's on the coaching staff and the organization to do those things. Players don't tank. We all know this. So good for those rookies to get those numbers. And, I know it cost us the game today, but, hey, in the tank scheme of things or whatever and long-term ramifications with this regime is probably going to stay now. But shout out to those guys. Obviously, Malik Nabers is a major cornerstone piece to this futures franchise. So just goes to show you that this kid is quarterback proof, okay? He's shown leadership. He's been playing hurt. Could have easily said, hey, I'm packing it up, man. There's nothing more for me to do here. Y'all know what I can do. But no, he's out there playing, and he's did a great job this season, I think. He had some drops. He had a couple of situations where made a couple of rookie mistakes with comments in the media, but learned from it and grew from it, I thought, because he stopped giving the media stuff to print and taking bait. He's a dog, man. He's a dog. And I just think when you get a dog in the locker room, a young, especially one that's inexperienced, you got to expect that dog to bite when things don't go well, when it comes to losing. No team wants to lose. And when you're a dog, you want to win. You got that dog in you, you see nothing but chicanery and foolery around you. Hey, it's easy for a rookie to be like, you know what? I'm a rookie. I ain't going to say nothing. F it, as long as I get my money. No, he didn't want to do that. He wanted to speak his mind and show some leadership and show, hey, I want to win. I want to play well. This is not acceptable for the fans to see this every week. So I like the fact that he kept playing and showed leadership because he easily had every right to just pack it up and say, hey, man, I'm playing hurt. This season ain't going nowhere. F it. I'll see y'all next season. He ain't do that. And Tyrone Tracy also getting 1,000 yards. Wasn't even the starter to start the season, getting 1,000 yards. Hey, listen, Saquon got 2,000 yards today. Giants look bad, especially if they win the Super Bowl this year with the Eagles, by letting them go right now. I still say in the grand scheme of things, it was the right thing to do, not pay Saquon, because the Giants were not a Super Bowl ready team to pay a running back that money at his age. Give respect and props to Saquon for doing what he did, having the season he had. You know, he's the op to me. I don't like how he left or whatever, but whatever. I got to give respect on him. You get 2,000 yards leaving. Hey, it is what it is. The Giants, I do not fault them for letting Saquon go. What I do fault them for is just basically the roster construction with the drafts the first 2 years. And the Giants, hey, they are in a boatload of problems to try to recover from. They were not in any kind of way there to take a quarterback. They just weren't. Checking in, Josh says, watching how the game against the Eagles play out, I would fire Joe Shane immediately after the game. Now Saquon could break the record against the Giants. Yep, he could. He could definitely break the record against the Giants. I can definitely see that. He's got over 2,000 yards. He's going to be going after Dickerson's record. But like I said, you know, I believe it when I see it, man. I've seen this movie before from John Mara. He's not going to fire nobody, man. He just won't. He's going to stick with status quo and let these guys get their quarterback. I already know it. I would be shocked. And like I said, the only thing that I see happening, if something does change, is they're going to make Dable the fall guy. And that, to me, is counterproductive and stupid to keep the one that's the architect of the misery and get rid of the coach on. Especially when they came together from Buffalo. But this is John Mara, folks. This is what he is all about. The old-fashioned, never change, don't get it, out of touch with reality of what today's NFL is. He loves to keep his GMs longer than his coaches, no matter how they construct the organization. Look what he did with Dave Gettleman. Gettleman, he kept Gettleman 2 extra years for nothing to give him a retirement package. Why? Because it's the Giant way. They like to keep their GMs longer. It's just ridiculous. I'd rather keep Dable, a bad GM, a bad architect, is far worse than a bad head coach. I agree, man. Well, listen, honestly, I don't want to keep one of the other. I want both gone, or you just run it back one more year with them, because organization-wise, it makes no sense. But I want them both gone. I just want to move on. Man. That's it. And they won't. As this checks in and says, we need that dog, someone that hates losing more than winning. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Neighbors is, man. You know, Kayvon, these guys, you know, Burns, they want to win. They don't want to be accepting BS, man. And, you know, I just thought that sometimes people look past what's going on and try to criticize the kid when we got to look at the grand scheme of things of what this kid is seeing every day in the locker room that we don't see with the coaching staff, how the coach prepares the team, how the players are preparing. He sees all of this, and guess what? He didn't see none of this when he was at LSU. He didn't see none of that. So he's not going to come up here in the pros and get asked these questions daily and daily about why we suck, and just be like, oh, it's okay, don't worry. He's not going to do that. This kid wants to win, and I respect the hell out of that. I just want him to stop dropping the ball, and he looked like he's done a better job of that in the second half of the season. You know? Diz also says, I always gave Maris some props for not being overbearing like Jerry Jones, but he's a different type of – yeah. I mean, he's not overbearing. He's not like a Woody Johnson or like the moronic Woody Johnson, the Jet owner, or the moronic Jerry Jones. But he also is out of touch with what should happen to win in today's NFL. And that's his problem. And until he either changes his ways or he hires the right GM to take care of those things so where he could just let it be and stay away from things, this is what we're going to be at. Unfortunately, this is just where we're going to be at. You know, like you said, it's a different kind of a net, man. It just is. It's just a different kind of a net because, you know he cares about winning. He just don't understand of what it takes to win anymore in this era of NFL. This is not the Coughlin years anymore. This is not the 90s Giants and all 80s Giants. Those things are gone now. So you got to have things structured to the sense of to where it's same page for coach, same page for GM, same page for GM, same page for coach. And I thought that he might have finally realized that when he actually brought in a GM that brought his coach from the same organization to run the organization here. And again, what are we hearing about how we're going to get rid of David? Only we'll keep the architect who's responsible for this roster being the way it is. It's absolutely mind-boggling that John Mara just doesn't get it. And until he does, we're stuck in this right now. We're stuck in this trying to figure it out. And honestly, get ready, Giant fans. Giant Nation, get ready. We're going to hear a lot of will the Giants trade up talk. That's what we're going to get. That's what we're going to hear. Because I don't think next week anything's going to change in the Giants' favor. I just don't see it. You know, ideally, in a hindsight, you want at least a top 2 pick if they could find a way to get up to the 2nd pick. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think so. They got a Philly team that's probably going to have nothing to play for next week. Okay. Now, could they lose that game? Of course they can. They can still lose that game. But they also could win it too. Are you impressed with Kenny Pickett? Also, you got to think another thing on that. In my opinion, you got to hope Jalen Hurts wants to play that game and they play Jalen Hurts. And you got to hope that the Lions lose tomorrow. That's the only way, because then the Eagles have something to play for. Does the Eagles really want to have Jalen Hurts miss almost 3 weeks of playing football? I don't know. That's a tough call, but they probably will and say, "Hey, Kenny Pickett play or let the third stringer play." It's the Giants are just they screwed themselves pretty much overall with this win, man. They just pretty much did. It's still attainable. We'll see, but we just need a lot of things to happen, bro. We just need a lot. Right now, Cleveland and Miami are tied at 3 right now, headed to the 2-minute warning, and Cleveland about to get the ball. I don't think Tua is playing. I just saw that Tua is not playing, so I don't know. Maybe Cleveland could pull that one out and get us up to the 3rd overall, but whatever. We know we'll be no lower than 4 going into week 17. So. Week 18. So, yeah. I don't know the schedule next week. Let me see if I could pull that up real quick. Schedule next week. Let's see. Next week's schedule for week 18. All right, so we got Browns, Ravens. Ravens will have something to play for, so I don't see the Browns beating the Ravens. They're going to win that game. Raiders, Chargers. Chargers clinch the playoff spot. Raiders could probably win that game if Chargers don't care about the game. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Titans play the Texans next week in Tennessee. I guess it's possible, but Titans they're probably going to have nothing to play for. They're probably not even going to want that. Jaguars got the Colts next week. So, and with the way the Colts played, that's definitely a winnable game. They suck. They're a bunch of frauds too, man. They're a bunch of frauds, man. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So that's it. I mean, it's possible those things happen, but in the landscape of things, you didn't want to be in a situation like that where you had to depend on so many things happening your way, your favor. It's hard to do that. Bills have nothing to play for. Pats could win. That's true. They could. Texans have nothing to play for. Titans could win. That's true. That is true. But we got to hope those things win. That's what sucks. Because as much as those things could happen, more likely those things might not happen. It just is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Oh, man, this is exactly why I was never sold on this tanking thing, because I know the Giants do this all the time. They're notorious for the meaningless wins, man. I just said I'll wait till week 18 to see how it goes, and look what happened. Look what happened. You know? Corey says, I give Giants props for playing good, but where was that energy throughout the first 8 games? Yeah, that's what I led with to open the show. But because, of course, when we needed the wins, they don't give us those wins. We only win 2 and go 2-13. But when we need them to just say, you know what, just end this godforsaken season and just turn the page on it. No need for a means win. Just get a high pick and get our quarterback. Yeah, we'll win that game. Typical Giants, man. Typical Giants. Corey Santos checking in. What's good, Corey? Happy New Year. My Jets can at least play spoiler next week after that horrendous loss we took against the Bills. Horrendous ain't the word. Did y'all even score today? I didn't even know. I was only watching a little bit based on my fantasy football ramifications. You know what I mean? Let's see. Let's see here. What did you guys score today? Did you guys score? Oh, you did score. Okay, so 40-14. So you got a couple of scores at the end. Yeah, that just a tough one. Tough one, man. Tough one, you know. And listen, if I'll say this about the Jets. I'm not sold that Rodgers is out of there either. I think y'all might most likely should just run it back with him because who are you going to get? Who are you going to draft? You going to hand this over? I don't know. Honestly, there is talent on the Jets. I think maybe some of it's a little overrated, I think, coming into the season, but it's not like the cupboard is bare, like they have no talent there. You know, couple of moves here and there, you could probably get a team with Rodgers possibly contending for a wild card next year. Who knows? So I don't know if just turn the page on Rodgers and just doing that. I don't know if that's even the case because the Jets want to. And I say, in my opinion, I would just rip the Band-Aid and just get rid of Rodgers, get the right GM, get the right coach, and just bite the bullet next year and try to get a quarterback in next year's draft. That's what I would do if I'm the Jets because Rodgers is just destroying that organization with what he wants. And more, I don't even want to say Rodgers is destroying it. I think it's Woody Johnson. That owner is the worst owner in New York. And I've said it for a while. Now that Dolan has finally figured it out and got the right people involved to run the Knicks, to me, it's not even close. The worst ownership in New York sports is Woody Johnson. You know, just is what it is. It just is what it is. So he's obviously not going nowhere. Just to just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and go just tear it down and get stuff. Keep the young talent you have, but try to, you know, fill in other places and get your young quarterback. Whether that's next year's draft, I don't know. I don't know if you want to do that. I wouldn't. If it isn't the top 2 guys in Shador or Cam Ward, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there on a project. I would just deal with whatever, go sign a bridge quarterback, and then next year revisit, try to draft a good young quarterback. Let's see here. Corey also says, yeah, we did AR bench and Tyrod took over. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but it was already, 40-0? I saw it was 40-0. I was just like, okay, whatever. I glanced at the score because, like I said, I had some fantasy football implications. I got some players playing today in my leagues, and I wanted to check. But, yeah. Pops checks in. Yes, Locke did have 4 touchdowns. Yes, he did. Just terrible Colt defense, terrible tackling the whole damn game. It was terrible, man. It was terrible. They looked like they were not interested. They just did. They just did. Game of his life. Tyrod gave us 2 touchdowns quick. Yeah, well, I would assume though Buffalo probably had their backups in the game at that point. Like I said, I didn't watch the game. Maybe they did. I doubted they was trying to run up the score on y'all if they did. But I would assume that. But Aaron Rodgers is going to play next week. You know he's not going to just sit there and be benched for Tyrod in Week 18. He's going to play next week, and we'll see going forward if you guys keep him past next year. Yeah, so, hey, listen, guys, that's going to wrap up the show today, man. Just crazy day today. You know, Tank Commanders, this is why I said to all of you all season, I'm going to wait and see. because the Giants do this all the time. They win meaningless games when they don't need to. And when you need them to win, they come up short or find ways to lose. And that is the kind of season we have had. So to me, the biggest part of this is not just about them not being able to have control of their destiny at the moment to get the number one pick to draft the quarterback they want. But what this does, it keeps this regime in play to stay now. And now, get ready to hear it. I'm telling y'all, mark my words. You're going to see a bunch of articles coming from here on out until the end of the year, till Black Monday happens, about how the regime is going to stay and that Mara doesn't want to change and this, that, and the third. And possibly Dable loses his job. Possibly. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not going to happen. So get ready to hear that. Get ready to go through all the scenarios of hoping the Giants can trade up to get the number 1 overall pick or number 2 overall pick, whatever slot they end up finishing if things hold serve one more week to get the quarterback they want. This is quarterback hell, folks. This is where we're at. The organization is in the abyss, and this is what goes on when you do not have the right guys running the ship and when you don't have the right players progressing or drafted in your organization. Like I said, that's going to wrap up today. Before I go, I just want to say Happy New Year to my Giant Family Nation, all the content creators out there. Thanks for chopping it up with me. One more thing, all I ask is for the newcomers to like and subscribe to Born for Sports. I talk all sports. I talk all sports. I talk Giants, as you can see. Big time Giant fan. Suffering just like y'all. Got my dogs barking in the background because they so mad that we won today. New York Giants football, New York Knicks basketball, New York Mets baseball. Big time fans of all 3 teams. I talk Yankees, Jets. I talk Rangers. Anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, especially New York sports. Like and subscribe to Born for Sports. Let's go Giants. Happy New Year. Embrace the tank. It's probably over, but embrace your families and have a safe and wonderful New Year. We'll chop it up next week.